Conclusion. In the preceding videos, I have given an argument, the conclusion of which is that it is more rational to be Christian than to be anything else. This argument overlaps with my Proof of Christianity series, but is independent from it. The two proofs are independent. A proof such as the one just completed leaves a lot of room for misunderstanding. At the risk of beating a dead horse, I'll make some clarifications again that I've already mentioned previously and add a few more clarifying points as well. The first point, I do not think this proof is as strong as my other proof, the Proof of Christianity series of videos. I admit this new proof is somewhat weak. The next point, I am not saying that any of the people in any of the worldviews or positions that this series has dealt with are bad or that they are stupid. I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm not saying they're stupid. One can certainly be highly intelligent and rational and hold to a different worldview or a different position. The next point I'd like to make, theism as a worldview, qua worldview, is the most reasonable worldview to adopt. And Christianity as a position, qua position, is the most reasonable position to accept within the worldview of theism. Next point. My use of the terms worldview and position in this series of videos are very particular and unusual. My unique definitions of those terms must be kept in mind as one is listening to the videos. This proof, particularly during its second stage, is kind of novel, and I did not take the time to do it as carefully as I should have. There are no doubt many serious flaws in the argument as currently stated. However, I do think this argument is sound in principle. Mayhaps someday I'll go through the argument which I was kind of making up as I went along and make it more polished. The argument is not that God must exist of logical necessity, is the next point. It is not even that Christianity is true of logical necessity. It is only that accepting Christian truth claims, as opposed to rejecting them, is the more reasonable intellectual stance. And the next point, and we got a couple more after this and we'll be done. I was sincerely trying to be as objective as possible. I was seriously trying to be objective in assigning the various numerical values. I was not intentionally setting the deck so the values came out how I wanted them. No doubt different persons would give different values. However, it is my contention that if you are being as unbiased as you possibly can be, your results shall agree with mine in that theism and Christianity are more rational than all of the alternatives. I have not proven this, and I do not guarantee it, but I suspect it to be so. If you feel like trying the PC and WC for yourself, don't hesitate and don't hesitate after doing that, if you do that, to respond with your results. PC and WC, the next point, PC and WC, can't talk today. PC and WC bear an eerie resemblance to utilitarian thought. At least to my way of thinking, that would be the case. I am definitely not a utilitarian, though. Still, there does seem to be some similarity between the two, utilitarianism and PC and WC. And I suppose some of the criticisms of utilitarianism shall also be applicable to this proof. For example, how can you really come up with these numbers, that kind of thing. At any rate, as I've said before, I think this proof is sound in principle, and I offer it for your consideration. Finally, and the final point that I'd like to make in the conclusion here is that you can add the worldview argument to the proof of Christianity argument together, if you wish, to make your conviction in Christ, supposing you are a Christian, even more secure. And the last thing I guess I'd want to say as kind of a PS point is that in the Gospels, in the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus is preaching a sermon, and at the end of this sermon, he uses a parable about a wise man and a foolish man, and the foolish man builds his house on the sand. The winds and the waves come, and because it's not built on a good foundation, it's built on sand, it collapses. But the wise man, in contrast, builds his house on the solid rock, and when the winds and the waves come, the house stands firm because it's built on the solid rock. So I think there's kind of a misnomer that, say, atheism is just something that's really firm. It's got the reason and the science behind it, the philosophy behind it. But Christianity is just faith, blind trust, unjustified blind trust, a leap in the dark, and it's on sinking sands. But according to Jesus, it's the other way around. If you're an atheist, if you're a pantheist, if you're any of the other worldviews other than theism, and within theism, Christianity, if you're anything other than Christian, then your house is built on the sand. And I hope that this series on the worldview argument for the existence of God, for the existence of the Christian God, has succeeded in showing that with Christianity, that's where the firm foundation is, not these other views. So again, people are good in these other views. There are good things in these other views, but at the end of the day, Christianity is either true or it's not, and it makes quite a difference in the afterlife if Christianity is true, or if it's not true even. So I hope I've established that the God of Christianity does exist, that Christianity is true. So it is more rational to be a Christian than not. Quod erat demonstrandum.